Hey, welcome to the Tom Green Farmcast. I'm Tom Green. Here we are at my farm in rural Ontario, Canada. Today we're going to listen to an outtake from my interview with Dan Aykroyd. How cool is that? The man that needs no introduction. Wait, what am I doing right now? This is the introduction. What a true honor to have such a Canadian legend here, to come up and stop by my farm. When I was a kid growing up watching Dan on Saturday Night Live and in Ghostbusters and the Blues Brothers and Trading Places and all of his incredible films and comedy work, I probably would have never even believed that someday I'd be living on a farm in Ontario and Dan would be coming up and being a guest on my talk show. It all just seems to really make no sense, but it's actually happening. This is actually happening now. Let's have a listen or a watch, depending on where you are. If you're listening on iHeartRadio or watching on Crave, here is a outtake from my show, The Tom Green Farm. You're watching the Tom Green Farmcast. Here's Dan Aykroyd. Thanks, Dan, for coming.
To our beautiful country, which is not for sale, but we got things to sell.
Yeah, absolutely. Do sometimes when you meet Americans, do they ever not know that you're Canadian, or are you obviously very vocal about being Canadian, but sometimes they might think you're from Chicago or
Blues Brothers. Because it's my adopted home. It's where I got my first working permit. Second City is where I got my first H1 down there, and so people associate me with Chicago, but I always make it clear that I'm a Canadian and proud to go around the world and talk about it. Yeah.
It's interesting, Second City was in Chicago, but also they had one in Toronto.
It was founded really as a works progress administration program, in an inner city program in Chicago to alleviate crime and to create equanimity in the society. So one of the ways to do it was this technique of improvisation, where, for instance, the thief that was arrested on the street would come out into a session where the cop would play the thief would play the cop. And so from that emerged into the Compass Players in Chicago, and then that had emerged into Second City. And then in the 70s, Bernie Solins, who owned it at that time, brought it to Toronto. He saw there was talent there. We traded companies. The Toronto company went down there, and the American company came up to Toronto. So Eugene Levy, Gilda Radner, myself, Jerry Salzberg, principally I remember, we went down to Chicago for that summer of 1974 and performed in the Chicago Second City, that house. And as you see, these talents have endured, to this day. Look at Eugene Levy, Dave Thomas, and Rick Moranis, and we lost Gilda.
Martin Short and
Marty was. I think Marty. I always say Marty was perhaps the all-around most polymath talented of us all. He can sing, he can dance, he does comedy, he does shtick. He's just like he's maxi talent,
I watched 1941 again a few nights ago.
It was beautifully produced, of course, done by Spielberg, and great performances in there. And it got a bad rap at the time. I don't know what was happening.
To see John Candy, to see
Treat Williams, Mickey Rourke.
Oh,
Candy, yeah.
I don't even think I noticed.
Yeah,
Mickey Rourke
Bobby
was in.
DeCicco, the young
Tim
star
Matheson.
at the time. Matheson was it?
Animal House, and of course Belushi.
And then you had the master Spielberg directing it and having chuckling and chortling and giggling the whole time.
And was that your first movie, 1941, or
first big Hollywood feature?
Hollywood movie.
And boy, did that pollute me. It's like, oh wow, yeah, what a life this is. I think that's my overriding, element of emotion right now is gratitude. For the collaborators I had, for the opportunities I had, and just being able to kind of do it all.
Was John Candy doing SCTV at the time, and you were on SNL, and Belushi was on SNL, and you all came and knew each other? But
it was like that. And of course, Belushi wanted to recruit Candy for SNL. He said, "Come and join us," But John had he had a movie career up here in Canada, apart from anything he was doing in the States. And then Second City turned out to be such a I would say, fertile place for comedy, SCTV, that all of us at SNL were fans, and we were kind of jealous of them because, oh man, we have to do this live every week. They get to edit their pieces, they get to do TV parodies, they get to, we thought they had an easier gig, but they worked just as hard as we did. One of the most seminal points in my life was when in terms of humor and in terms of developing where I went, was Valerie Bromfield and we met in college. One night we were doing a cable show in Toronto, in Ottawa. We had our own cable show at the time called Change for a Quarter.
Oh.
It was a 15-minute show.
Okay.
And so we did it at a local cable. We had 3 robot cameras and 1 operator, and we wrote sketches, and that tape, eventually we gave to Lorne Michaels in Toronto. And it was a 2-inch tape that came with a handle in the case, you know. And so we were working on material, and I was over at her house there on Prince of Wales Drive in Ottawa, and a blizzard set in. And that night of that blizzard, we developed some wonderful pieces of humor because we were stuck there. We couldn't go anywhere. We brought it to 2 executives at CBC, and they looked at it and they said, it's not quite for us, but there's a young producer sort of downstairs. His name is Lorne. Go down and see him. And Lorne got it. He got, oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, and he was at CBC. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we ended up doing a summer special called the Great Canadian Humor Test. And it was a government-sponsored test of Canadian humor. And this was Lorne's brilliance at the time. And so Valerie and I got to do sketch comedy on that show for CBC in summer of 1969.
Did you imagine at the time when that first, you know, when you're on SNL, that this show would end up going on for 50 years now?
He just wanted to get on for 7 of them, you know, and get through 7 and see. And he demanded, he said, there has to be 7. I'm not doing a pilot. You've got to guarantee me a certain amount. So it's an institution. It'll never go away. And, you know, he's 81, Lorne, right now. And there's only one guy that can really do that.
Yeah.
And he orders the show. Have you ever seen him do that?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that something?
I got to host it once.
Yes, right. So you see the pros. You get in and he puts the cards, he puts in the pin, and there's only one man on the planet can do that.
Yeah.
And that's Lorne Michaels.
It was cool when you hosted the show that you brought the Tragically Hip on.
That was a wonderful night. And you know, the Hip, people say about them, oh, well, you never really made it in the States, or you never really exploded in the States. That's not true. They sold many U.S. venues, they sold a lot of U.S. records, and they have a very credible following in the United States. And that was just one of the most memorable nights of my life. And I love Gord, of course, and love the boys, always will. It
was, in some ways, bittersweet watching a lot of the films, and because you see people that have passed, of course, John Candy and Belushi.
Well, 44 years old, he died. He didn't die of drugs. He had a congenital heart defect from his dad. Belushi died of a straight-up heroin cocaine overdose that the woman misjudged. I had 8 good, wonderful years of friendship with John. Wonderful years of friendship, and we made those films. And the first time I saw John, and you couldn't have imagined a more dramatic appearance of a great star to me at that time. We were at Second City. It was a February night in Toronto. The back door fed onto an alley, and the back door opened, and in a swirl of snow, for the first time, Belushi appeared to me with a octagonal tweed hat and a cable knit sweater and a silk scarf, a white silk scarf, white sneakers, jeans, totally underdressed for Canadian winter, with a cigarette and a pack of Camels. And he came in, and I just was, oh my God, what an archetype.
Yeah.
And then we did the set together, and then we went back to the 505 Club, and John and I were listening to the Downchild Blues record, and he said, I love this. Well, it's a local blues band. You love blues. You're from Chicago. He said, but this sounds good. This vocalist is great. I said, yeah, well, we should put something together. Sort of conceived the Blues Brothers that night.
Wow, yeah.
And I'm happy and proud to say that with his brother Jimmy, we have a blues band that we still play often.
When you're there in the church scene and you've got James Brown performing, you know, it's sort of like, I know you guys were the biggest stars in the world at the time too, but were you still kind of pinching yourself going, wait, we got James Brown here, we got Aretha Franklin in the movie?
I'd seen James Brown at the Esquire Show Bar in Montreal, and I saw, you know, I was always, of course, you know, a fan of those black radio stations that we used to hear from Detroit and Boston as a kid, and the impact that these African-American artists have had on world culture, and to invite them to come in and have them say, yeah, you know, yeah, we want to do this. Have them verify the fact that we were venerating their work and honoring their work. Expose these artists to maybe a white audience that hadn't seen them so much, a Midwest white audience. And all the songs we recorded, on the records, John and I collected only mechanical royalties. That is for the performance of the song only. All those publishing royalties went to the original writers or their estates. We never appropriated them. So I'm quite proud of that.
So many of your films, you're in such great sort of a comedic team with another, with
Thank God.
Eddie Murphy.
I don't think I could have done it.
John Candy, of course. So fun watching you and John Candy and The Great Outdoors.
Well, that was John Hughes who wrote that.
Yeah.
And then I got to rewrite some of it, and Howie Deutsch directed it, and we had a wonderful time on that film. It was really good. Being able to pair with someone on stage or on film, Second City taught us to be generous and to listen.
Yeah.
And that's why so much of it worked.
So you're writing Ghostbusters, and then were you prepared for this sort of, astronomical success of that movie? It was one of those movies that was bigger than most movies ever get, right?
We don't know. We were shooting the movie about halfway through, and Bill Murray and I went up to my house up in Woodrow Wilson Drive above Los Angeles. He said, you have written, and we are in probably what's going to be one of the biggest comedies of all time. And I said, well, Bill, we're only halfway through. How do you know? I know. And he knew, and his instincts are amazing. 13 weeks, it was at #1. Who does that now?
Yeah.
And that's the brilliance of Ivan Reitman as a producer and promoter. And then, of course, the great leading man, Bill Murray, one of our greatest comedy romantic leading men of all time. And then you have Harold Ramis co-writing the script. And a solid concept of where we took an old type ghost comedy movie, like Hold That Ghost or The Abbott and Costello or The Bowery Boys. We took that idea of doing a ghost movie, but marrying it to the actual research that was going on in some of these places, like Duke University, Maimonides. I had done all that research for my family that were spiritualists, and then Harold was well acquainted with it, although he was not a believer, as I am.
So when you say your family were spiritualists, they sort of knew about ghosts, or?
My great-grandfather, Sam, was a dentist in Kingston.
Yeah.
And he was a spiritualist paranormal researcher. And so he wrote journals and articles related to everything that was going on, apparitions, levitations. And so that's why I wrote the movie. I was just steeped in that as a kid.
So have you seen a ghost?
I have not. I feel that one night I may have been had a presence get into bed with me. I went to sleep, and then I woke up because I felt something next to me, and I looked over next to me and I saw the mattress depress, in like a bum-sized, depression.
Yeah.
And I saw that, okay, well, gee, that's unusual. And I felt a presence, but I just kind of turned over and kind of wiggled up against it and went to sleep. There are many great ghost stories that are so credible, and I know that it's a reality. The invisible world is at work all around us, all the time.
When you're writing a movie script or a scene...
When I was writing, yes.
You incorporate all of this sort of... The way you speak is very rhythmic, right? Where does that come from?
A lot of it comes from the growing up with a French-Canadian family. Everybody talks fast because they've got to get the words in fast. So, il parle vite, là. No, c'est pas ça, no. And then my uncle Andy and my uncle Peter, they were the inspiration for my character in Great Outdoors, Roman Craig, where the words are chopped, and you make sure that the timbre is in the voice, and that everyone hears you in the room. Go get the fucking car now. And it's like that kind of, the command is in the voice. So Roman Craig is basically my Uncle Andy and my Uncle Peter.
And you have a show now that's been on for years now?
Yeah, Unbelievable on History Channel, A&E. It's about all of these events that humankind has gone through, amazing stories of survival, of inventions, of strange deaths, strange demises, strange fates. Great people. We're into our 3rd season, and some of the shows coming up are quite outstanding. We have one show devoted to the guy who was cutting logs in his backyard, and the chainsaw bounced off a log and severed his head almost half off. And his neighbor drove him to the hospital, and he lived. I love that job. I'm doing it in association with William Shatner and with Danny Trejo, and I think Dennis Quaid is also doing one of them. So we're kind of like a quadrant of announcer hosts that are telling these great stories, the unexplained, the unexpected, and the unbelievable. Yeah.
You know, I really appreciate you coming by and doing this.
Oh, I love this. This was so much fun. Because I love you, Tom. You're a fellow Canadian, fellow Ottawan, and you're an anarchist. And now you're happily married. You got your mom here. It's just this kind of experience is right up my alley. And so maybe you come down and bring Amanda and have dinner.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to.
A dinner which I won't cook. I can barely pull together a toast.
Well, thank you. Thank you. As a Canadian and an Ottawan, this is particularly an honor to have you here, Dan. So thanks.
Cool. I'm going to have the crew down to the farm in the summer. We're gonna do it there. That'd be great.
Amazing. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, that was amazing. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you had as much fun as I did. It's always really cool to be able to hang out with you and my guests. And if you want to see more of the goings on the Tom Green Farm, go watch the full show, The Tom Green Farm, where you'll get to see the animals, Kia, the donkey, and Fanny the mule, and Alora and Aria the horses, and the chickens, Loretta, Patsy, Shania, Dolly, June, and Anne. There's a lot of shenanigans going on over there, and I love you to go to Crave and check out the rural farm shenanigans. That doesn't sound good, actually. I don't think we should say that there's rural farm shenanigans.
I see nothing wrong with shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong with shenanigans.
Yeah, you're always having shenanigans with the animals.
Shenanigans is kind of so the dated word, though? Is it kind of a weird word?
No.
Shenanigans?
I think it's Irish, probably.
Irish. Okay, that's good. We're Irish.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're Irish. So if you want to see some more country shenanigans, check out the Tom Green Farm, where we'll be riding around on mules and having some laughs. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Dan Aykroyd, and we'll see you next time. This is the Tom Green Farm. It's not the Green Tom Farm. This is my favorite farm because it is my farm. Welcome to the Tom Green Farm. My name is Tom Green. Oh. Here I am in my house out here in rural Ontario, Canada.
Wow.
A house that was built in 1857.
How cool is this?
Where we'll be doing a talk show, trying to get Tony Danza.
Your dad can't hear you.
I heard you.
Who's the boss?
I
Get him
can't
up
hear
here.
you, but I can't remember either.
We're trying to get Tony Danza up here. Not in a television studio, but on a farm. There's bears here, yeah.
Do you know in the gay community a bear is a thing?
I did know that,
Of course you do.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
If you build it, we might come.
Interviewing celebrities.
That was just one of the most memorable nights of my life.
That is intense. They look alien.
You had a freaky career.
Freaky.
I'm just falling in love again and again and again today.
Parle français pour 2 minutes.
Serais capable de le faire?
Oh my God.
Allô, toute la gang.
So my friend Dead Mouse.
We've lived off of the land so long as that land was able to sustain us.
There's something very peaceful and magical about the first snowfall.
Driving along the road in the rolling hills, I'm like, I wish I could just run in those fields, but you never really do.
Gets the blood going, huh? Did you go on Conan dressed as a horse?
Centaur.
Come over here for fun and you get your hand bitten off, right?
This is the great joy of my adult life, is getting into horses.
Wow.
And I'm excited about all the people that we're going to present to you.
I know the legacy of Bare Naked Ladies. I know what it means to other people.
Did I intimidate you with my skills?
Yeah.
I'm a seasoned professional.
You've been making television a long time.
Darth Vader's wiener.
Mr. Tom Green, how are you?
I've only been scared on one set.
Cheers.
This is the Tom Green Farm.